Hey, good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube. Getting ready for this next Regal moment. I'm going to give some people a little bit of time to log in. I'll live my camera in just a little bit, but we definitely want to interact with people. So I think I've resolved what was going on with not being able to see the comments and all. So as you log in, please shout yourself out. Let me know you're on with me, and we'll definitely see excuse me, if everything is going well. All right, so good afternoon to everybody. It's 3 p.m. EST, and I'm your friend Rashiid K. Coleman, coming at you with another Regal moment. This is episode 5, and today we're going to be asking some very important questions. We want to know, are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to discuss some things quite candidly. So again, we're giving some people a little bit of time to log in. It appears that for some reason the comments are not showing up again. I don't know what's happening with that. We're going to figure it out though. So I'll definitely respond and interact with some of you post the broadcast or when the broadcast is over. So give me 1 second, and then we'll come back with this question. Are you ready? And we're going to dig into some of the very challenging conditions that are plaguing all of us on a global scale. We'll be right back. All right, as you heard, I'm your friend Rashiid K. Coleman, the Enlightened Entrepreneur. I call myself that because I believe in doing business what I call the right way, okay? I don't believe that any one of us is truly successful in business or in life if, in order to get where we intend to be or want to be, we leave an entire trail of bodies and carcasses behind us, all right, or that we step on people to get where we intend to be. So glad you're joining me this afternoon. If you're joining me on YouTube, what you want to do is click that like button. You want to click that subscribe button so that you can be notified of all future posts that we make to the channel. If you're watching Facebook Live, then welcome. We want you to share it, get it out to some people if you believe that these lives or these posts are valuable. Okay, so we have to begin with everyone. I believe everyone, or maybe I shouldn't make that assumption. I believe everyone is pretty clear that we are in the midst of some very challenging times, right? We know that we're in the midst of a second wave hitting America. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but already in other countries, they've already experienced their second wave and the devastating impact and effect of that second wave on their economy, on their populace from a health and wellness standpoint also. Okay, so, we talk about some things. We talk about economics. We talk about, markets, and not from an advisory standpoint. We're really talking about this from an observer's standpoint, right? We're making observations on these things and hopefully inspiring some people to see that now is not the time to tap out on personal responsibility, all right, and in putting ourselves in position to create the life we intend to live and enjoy. All right. So the first thing, I know that this might be a bit heavy for some people, but I believe that the truth comes to make us free. I'm never afraid of the truth. I'm not afraid of the truth about people, places, things. I'm not afraid of the truth as it pertains to me. I'm always tightening the rivets. That's what I say to my children, to my family members, people I coach. I'm always tightening the rivets. That's a daily endeavor of mine on a personal level. So, wishing you all well. I pray everybody enjoyed the holiday season in the ways that were meaningful to you and your family. Hopefully you didn't get caught up in the hysteria of, commercialized Christmas and things like that. Again, if that's your philosophy, your way of living, then I'm not trying to judge you. What I do hope is that we can get to a place where we realize if we're looking for happiness and for things without us to make us happy, we're going to be running on that hamster wheel the entirety of our time here in Earth realm. Okay, so we want to begin by taking a bird's eye glance at the global impact of this pandemic period, of the global economics of it all, because I don't know if some of us are aware of just how dire the situation is. Now, first, from a health standpoint, I'm going to tell you something. I believe that health is wealth. I don't care how much money any of us acquires, how many assets we accumulate. I don't care how, massive our portfolios are. I'm going to tell you, if we're not healthy, then we aren't going to be around for very long to enjoy it. Or we're not going to be in a position where physically we're going to be able to enjoy what all of those things are really meant to provide. So health is wealth. If you're healthy, be grateful. Be grateful. You have something that some others covet right now, because there are many who are in hospitals, in ICU. There are families who have suffered through very painful losses throughout this pandemic period. So if you're healthy, you're blessed. I hope you can agree with that. All right. Health is wealth. So we want to start there. We want you to take care of yourself. If you don't usually eat well, eat better through this period. And that doesn't mean, eat lavishly. That means eat things that fuel your body the right way, that nourish your body on a cellular level. Okay. There are some things I can turn you on to that I do on a daily basis, which is why, I'm middle-aged, but I feel like I think. In my mind, I'm still like in my 20s. All right. Now I have hung up the basketball sneaks, so I'm not quite that young in my mind. My body does tell on me when I'm out there with them young bucks, because basketball is a young man's game. I'll tell you that straight up. All right. So I want you to know that there are some things that you can do, in a very economical way, where you can take good care of this machine called the human body. All right. That really all it is. All right. So what's going on in the world around us? Why are we asking the question, are you ready? If you weren't, or if you aren't aware, there are up to 15 countries. All right. I'm talking about, of the major economic powers in the world. There are about 15 countries at a minimum that are threatening bankruptcy. All right. Now, I don't know if you understand what that really means. And when I start going through, I'm just going to go through 10 for the sake of time. But when I start going through some of these countries, some of you are going to be amazed. You might think to yourself, oh my goodness, like this is really happening. If you haven't felt the personal impact yet, prayerfully you won't ever have to. All right. Again, we're going to talk about some of that today. But let's go through some of these countries that are staring down the barrel of bankruptcy, of economic ruin. If a country is experiencing this time in a very adverse way, then I want you to know that is definitely trickling down to the majority of the populace and to the majority of the citizenship of those countries. Okay. Now, of course, there are always those that are at the top of the financial and economic scale in these places. And they probably believe, they would never have to worry about the impact of a sliding economy on a global scale, but that remains to be seen. And we are definitely in the midst of a hard reset. And so the first of the 10 countries that we're going to mention, and a lot of this is very perfunctory, it's very elementary, just meaning that we're just scratching the surface of these details, okay? So the first country we want to take a little glance at is Italy. Italy is in trouble, has been for some time, and it's all behind their standing and growing debt. It's also as a result of unemployment rates, just ballooning as a result of COVID, and their economy was already weakened by the change in currency to euros. But now this has really devastated the Italian economy. All right. So they're really in a bad way. They could be looking at bankruptcy as a country. All right. And the pandemic and then these waves. Now they're talking about an entire new variant. See, they're not calling it a new strain. They're saying this new variant of the virus, which is leading to more concern. I'm just going to tell you, they're going to double talk around this issue. So you all know, I just want to deal with the facts as they've been laid out. This variant is not as deadly as the first novel coronavirus, but it is a lot more transmissible. Okay, so it's nothing to really like heighten our alarm about, but there probably are going to be more people infected. And quite honestly, those with comorbidities are the people, who have already standing health issues and challenges. Those are the people that really, really need to pay attention. You need to practice distancing. You need to keep your mask on when you're around others. When you go out in public, you need to do something to stay active and moving so that your blood is moving, so that your lungs, that your heart rate is getting up and you have to breathe in more air. I'm just telling you, everybody, you want to think about these things, okay? So Italy is the first. They're really threatening bankruptcy. The second, and these are not in any necessary order, but these are some of the most eye-popping for me in terms of countries suffering, all right? The second is Sweden. I don't know if you knew this or not. Sweden was the 8th happiest country in the world. When it comes to people who are just generally happy, Sweden was number 8. That's pretty phenomenal, right? But here's the deal with this is that was all before the pandemic, all right? And their prime minister, Stephen Löfven, he actually warned the Swedes, okay? And I'm going to quote him in this. He said, all the things you would like to do, but that are not necessary, cancel or postpone. That's what the prime minister of Sweden said to the Swedish population. Whatever you were going to do that isn't necessary, cancel it or postpone it because of this next wave of COVID threat. It's just, they're shutting things down. And I'm going to tell you, the entire world's numbers are better than the United States because we, for some reason, in the name of freedom, in the name of liberty, have a hard time with doing what is prudent to protect ourselves and each other. All right. I think we live in a conspiracist society like at no other time in the world's history. And it's really biting us in the backside. Okay. And so, that's happening in Sweden and they're threatening bankruptcy. Okay. Then third, you may not have even thought this would ever be possible, but The US of A. You want to know why? Because we're number one in the world with COVID cases. I don't know if this administration is so competitive and they wanted to make sure they made that tagline, that motto, make America great again, that we took that to some demented, bizarro world, anti-American greatness, because we are number one in COVID cases and in deaths worldwide. So we're great at doing badly in that regard, right? And then now again, I'm not here saying America is not the place where I want to live here. I believe that America is many things. And one of those things is America is foolish. And we got some work to do in that regard. America is arrogant. And we have some work to do in that regard, which is why we experience things we don't necessarily have to. Okay? We already know, in the words of the outgoing president, he knew about how deadly this was. He knew about how transmissible this virus was, and he suppressed it. Okay, so all of this is intentional. All right, now they won't come out and say what that intention is. I'm not on here to speculate about that in this one, because we have to get to this question of, are you ready? Am I ready? Okay, so we've got to understand the pandemic. It really has devastated the American economy, and 1/4 of our population is struggling financially. That means 1 out of every 4 American persons is struggling financially. And 1 out of every 4 of those, I wasn't stuck. It didn't stall. It didn't, freeze. I'm letting that marinate for a second. Because 1 out of every 4 American has had to tap into their savings, their retirement funds, just to be able to make it right now. And then they've done this because many of these Americans can't pay their bills, can't pay their mortgages, their rents, or their leases. Of course, business owners in that same way. And then watch this. For all of those who understand the soundness, see, I'm not against real estate and real estate investing, but everyone who, went all in, and some very inexperienced people who were like, they started watching, people's videos and reading books and saying, I need to get into the real estate game. I'm just here to tell you, there's a lot of landlords who are losing their shirts right now, because if you bought these properties and with the idea that you're going to put tenants in them, whether it's commercial, assets, or it's private family dwellings, and you figure they're going to pay my mortgage, well, that's the problem right now. And the moratorium is almost up. This Thursday, December 31st, the moratorium on evictions is up. They just passed this new stimulus bill. Some of the details about extending that might be in there. I'm not seen or heard much about that yet. So, we need to understand 1 out of every 6 Americans have had to borrow money, or they've had to receive food from a food bank. Now, I'm not trying to shame anybody. I just want people to understand this is how real things have gotten in our country, okay? And this is why we're about to deal with this question very shortly. Are you ready? Okay? Just to put food on the table, people have had to borrow money. 1 out of every 6 Americans in the richest country in the world. All because we decided to suppress information, to allow Americans to fall ill, to let this virus go viral. It's just amazing, right? 4th, the UK. The UK is in trouble. Again, USA threatening bankruptcy. They can't keep printing money. America can't keep printing money, okay? Eventually, there's going to be so many dollars flooding the economy that the paper won't be worth what it's printed on. Do you see this? Okay, so for the UK, the full cost of COVID is still being measured and assessed by the government there in the UK, but the second wave of COVID is pushing their economy into what their experts are calling a double dip recession. Okay. And they're really struggling, you know. I think we're about to see some of the dire effects of all of this really start to unfold around March of 2021. All right. And this is even with, you know, and I can only speak for America. We're American citizens. Whether it's going to be $600 or it's going to be $2,000, you know, I'm just telling you, it's pretty interesting. But either way, it's not enough. A one-time check of $600 or $2,000, it's not enough. If a family is behind or in arrears on their mortgage or their car note or all of the above, their utilities, it's not enough. It's not enough to do all of that and to continue to feed yourself. And if you have a family, and there's some people might be biting their nails right now saying, you know, don't remind me of the challenge of it all. Don't scare me. I'm not on here to scare you, because I've got some good news at the end of this. You know, I always leave you with a tip. Okay. I'm actually going to have 2 tips at the end of today's video. So watch to the end. Watch to the end so you can get the good news. All right. 5th, South Africa. Man, South Africa has really taken a hit. And you need to know that most of the South African population live below what they call the bread line. Okay. They're in that country. And I'm just telling you, this is what experts have said. I'm not making that up for effect. I'm not, using hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. They say most of that country's populace lives below the bread line. Okay. And now there are lines of people by the hundreds outside of post offices there in South Africa waiting for checks that are equivalent to $23. A check for $23 that has to last them an entire month. Now, I'm not a South African economic specialist, so I don't know what that translates to in value in the marketplace there. But all I can tell you, even if it's not by America's standards, all I can tell you is I don't know how much $23 does for a person, or especially a family in any economy. All right, for an entire month. Okay, so $23, that's tough. That's tough. So this is why they're facing, the barrel of bankruptcy as a country. Okay, and you need to understand this, that their unemployment rate has actually ballooned to a record high of almost 31%. I think the exact percentage is like 30.8%, which is why good math says you round that up. It's 31% unemployment rate. And if their unemployment is by the same definition or standards of America, then you already know that means there are many, many more jobless. Okay, because unemployment requires a very specific definition to be categorized that way. All right. And then after that, 6th is Turkey. And, Turkey right now, their country is synonymous with debt because of the mismanagement of their leader. All right. I mean, their leader has been in all kind of scandal and imprisoned, like I want to say it was like 50,000 people that he had imprisoned, people who, weren't his advocates, people from the press who were just putting out the truth in the media there. And because of all of that, The lira is almost worthless. That's their currency. The lira, almost worthless there in Turkey. And investors, because of the value of the lira dropping so drastically, they're pulling out of the country, which doesn't bode well for any future prospect of rebounding in the economy. And unemployment also skyrocketing there. Now, let me tell you, there's a theme building. All right. I want to do this for the sake of time. We already see how dire it is. Right. So here's three more. Indonesia, it facing bankruptcy. Right. They just had to take out a $1.5 billion loan from Australia just to make it through this pandemic period. All right. And then Spain. Did you know that about 13% of their gross GDP is all tourism? So because there is no tourism in Spain right now, their economy has been decimated. All right. People are suffering there. I'm just telling you, and they don't have the kind of governmental support that we enjoy here as Americans. So many of them, when you're hined out, and you're hined out by yourself. Okay, so if you pray, we may need to pray for people in these countries like South Africa and Spain, and because many of these people, of no fault of their own, they find themselves in these positions of great and extreme challenge. India, same thing, facing bankruptcy. Okay, watch this. The IMF has already declared that in India, even after all of this is over, it may take them at least, at a minimum, 3 years to even be able to see any signs of hope for financial recovery. Okay, because that continent has over 1 billion people on that continent. All right, and I'm just telling you, that's tough. That's tough. All right. Again, let's hasten on for the sake of time. And then 10 for the day. 10, France. France, another country facing bankruptcy. Okay. They're trying to affect another shutdown because they've already experienced their second wave, and they're trying to avoid suffering a third wave, a third breakout. All right. But you need to know that their economy has dropped by like 12% just during the pandemic period. Okay, so everybody's saying COVID is a hoax and COVID is this and it's a scheme, it's a scam. I don't disagree that there's some scamish behavior taking place in this pandemic period, but I'm here to tell you it itself, it's real. Okay, I'm telling you from my experience in service as a pastor, I'm dealing with families and encouraging families through some very, very tough times because they're experiencing for themselves the worst kinds of losses. Okay, and I'm not sharing this to try and exploit their pain. That's not why I'm doing this. All right, I'm very, very sensitive to that. All right. No one deserves to go through the things that some of these people have had to suffer. And my heart goes out to them. I'm prayerful for them all the time. But this is what we're looking at. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something. You have to ask yourself today. I implore you. I want to inspire you to ask yourself, are you ready? Are you ready for what's next? Are you ready for 2021? And if you're going to consider that question honestly, you got to ask yourself, what's your plan? See, it's one thing to explore the question, am I ready? Well, the only way to really explore that question is to get to, what's your plan? And I want everybody to know an idea is not a plan. Okay? So you want to start there. If you don't have a plan for 2021, how you're going to enter into the first quarter of 2021, then you plan to fail. I don't know any other way to say that. There's no softening that question. There's no beating around the bush on that. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. Okay? So you have to think about these questions if you don't want to suffer through at least the beginning of 2021. All right? I'm going to go out on a limb just from what I know about the way money moves, the way business is done. I'm just telling you, we already know there are a number of businesses and by default, a number of jobs that are gone for good. They're not coming back. Okay. So you've got to realize it's time out for conventional thinking. All right. For that old traditional thinking that was based on and founded upon those old reliable paradigms, where you could, go to school, get a good education, even if you squeak by, get a degree, go get you a good secure job with good benefits and stay there for as long as you can so that you can opt out and retire with your pension. And I'm just here to tell you, it's time out for that conventional thinking. It's time out for that conventional thinking. Well, I'm going to ride this out and just wait for jobs to come back because I'm certain the government is going to do right by us, like a sense of entitlement. They're going to do right by us and they're going to come up with jobs. I'm just here to tell you, unless we put somebody in the White House that is a magician, a sorcerer, sorceress, a witch or a warlock, a true spiritualist who can manifest things out of thin air, then it's just not a realistic gamble. Okay. That thinking is gone. That paradigm has now sufficiently and thoroughly been killed. That old way, it's gone. It's not coming back. It actually began leaving with the end of the Industrial Revolution. Now we are in the information age. We're in the technological revolution. I'm here to tell you, you want to start thinking along these lines. All right, now here's my challenge to you. See, the challenge with that old conventional thinking that, let's wait for jobs to come back. It's been the problem has been this either or thinking. All right, there's a lot of people who thought we would either do one thing or we would do another thing. And that was it. It was just this polarized thinking. We're either starting our own business or we're working a job. And I'm here to tell you, it's time out for that. We have to develop what I like to call and thinking. Okay. Now I'm telling you, you need to position your adult children, your spouse, your partners. You need to start positioning people to think, I need to do, if you are blessed and you still have your job, I promise you need to be thinking now of how do I work full-time on my job and part-time on another stream of income. All right. I'm going to tell you something. Classically, historically, I've not been a subscriber to this idea of just generalized diversification. That just hasn't been me. What I've watched in terms of wealth trends and those who are truly wealthy, many of them, they're very focused in their investments. They don't have money all hither, thither, and yon. Okay. They're very consolidated. And so I've not been of that mind, but I'm going to tell you now, you need to start thinking diversification. You need to start thinking multiple streams of income. And with this, my brother and my sister, I'm telling you, the days are gone when you can think or believe that multiple streams of income means having 2 or 3 jobs. It's just not going to happen that way. And I'm going to tell you, it's unfortunate for many Americans, especially minority Americans, that many of minority Americans are in a position where Now, where they used to work 2 and 3 jobs so that they could afford the luxuries of life, now they're working 2 and 3 jobs to live, to make a living. All right. And I'm just telling you, those days, they're coming to an end. So you need to be thinking about multiple streams of income. All right. There were a lot of people, listen to me, hear me out on this. When countries are doing poorly, you need to, and that means that currencies are attached. Okay, they are inextricably connected to these countries. Because a lot of people been after me, what's your thoughts on Forex? Are you involved in Forex? I'm just going to tell you, if I was going to get involved, it wouldn't be right now. Now, I'm not on here to give you any direct financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You'd have to talk to me in private about that. But I do come on here to share little tidbits, things that will help, value if I can. I'm just telling you, currencies are very vulnerable right now, especially the American dollar. All right. This is one of the few times in the world's history where now people are starting to get antsy because people don't know if the American dollar should remain the fiat currency, the foundation for fiat currencies throughout the world. The standard for currencies. That's what I meant to say. So I'm just telling you, you need to be thinking diversify, and you need to be thinking multiple streams of income. Okay. So create your vision for 2021. Create the plan and the specific strategic steps to realize that vision in and for 2021 and beyond. And I'm going to ask you this. Are you ready? Listen. Let me tell you what this includes. Are you ready to have and exhibit the courage necessary to redefine yourself, to rethink what you might have invested most of your young adult lifetime in, to develop a certain career, and then the bottom fell out and you did nothing wrong? You followed the prescription. You followed the formula just as it was given to you, right? I'm just going to add, do you have the courage to redefine yourself, to reboot your life, to start on some new paths, to learn some new skills? And I'm going to tell you, whatever you get invested in, you're going to need to immerse yourself, because every industry, every endeavor, every modality, every skill set has with it its own specific language or languages. Okay. So you need to be ready to immerse yourself in these next steps. And I'm just going to tell you, the quickest way I've learned to be able to forge into a new endeavor, you need to connect yourself with a mentor that's already done it, that's already been where you intend to go. All right. And that's where many people, I hear people say these things to me all the time, to all the viewers out there. Maybe you might want to post in the comments, some of your thoughts about this stuff. But people say, that's not for me. That's not for me. I'm just here to tell you, just think about, there was a time when electricity was thought to be deadly. Okay. People were like, I'm good with my candles. It gives me what I need. I'm good with my potbelly stove. Listen, eventually innovation destroys the old applications and technologies. So I'm just here to tell you, whatever you thought wasn't for you, you might want to open up your mind to expand your perspective, to explore the possibilities that there just might be something else out here that we don't yet know and that we need to learn. Okay. If it's you might need to explore this. Some of you need to get with me. You need to get in my inbox. You need to contact me through DM. You need to say, I've been watching, but the time is now. The time is now. I'm just telling you, I, along with some other leaders, have become really good at positioning people to change their lives. All right. And in this specific season, we can show you how to be healthy and to develop a viable stream of income part-time. I've always done this one particular thing part-time. And I'm telling you, I'm a documented six-figure earner in this industry, the industry of community economic empowerment, of network marketing, of direct sales, because of the way I've approached it, the people that I've associated myself with. Okay. At the end of the day, anything that you're doing now, you need to examine, is it relational? Is it community based? Is it bigger than me? Is it scalable beyond my own efforts, beyond my own physical ability? Because if it isn't, I'm just telling you, it's not where things are going. Okay. So some of you, the time is now. Do you have the courage to apply yourself, to immerse yourself, to learn the new skills, and to face the future in truth? Okay. Also, the next question you're going to have to satisfy is, do you have the will? Do you have the will to silence all the noise of the naysayers? Because there's going to be people who, in the name of love, they're going to tell you, you shouldn't do that. Oh, no, you shouldn't even consider that. You shouldn't consider launching out into the deep and beginning your own endeavor. I'm just going to tell you, many people are going to miss the boat because they're going to think now is not the time to launch into something new. And I'm just telling you, now is the time to launch into something new. All right. It's going to take a strong will to close the door so you can silence all the noise from without. Excuse me, because I promise you, the noise within some of our heads and some of our minds, it's already noisy enough. So you're going to have to challenge yourself. Are you ready to thrive, or are you going to settle for survival? Or are you going to settle for demise? I'm just here to tell you, our last podcast was all about adapting or being annihilated. I'm here to tell you, adapt or be annihilated. And it takes will. Like you have to be ready to get up every day and go all in on you. All right. To go all in on your vision, to go all in on what's important to you. I'm going to throw this in parenthetically. I've learned this through personal suffering, through personal challenge that helped me on this road of spiritual maturity, through self-development. I've learned that the best and most certain way to get where you intend to be is to honestly serve others and to help them get where they intend to be. Do you see this? This is why I live by this. It is my pleasure to serve. It is my pleasure to serve. Some of you are looking for somebody who lives by that ethos. And I'm just going to tell you, it hasn't always been easy. There's been times, and I'm still living through some experiences where there are people who intend to use you, but you have to live by your ethos, because we reap what we sow. You see this? So I promise you, some of you, you've been watching, you've been waiting. No, the time is now. And this is not a joke. It's not a game. The time is now. You better holler at me now. It's time to get yourself in position so that you can experience a life of freedom. All right. Now, finally, and we're closing with this. Do you have the audacity to thrive? The audacity to change? The audacity to evolve? The audacity to love yourself? The audacity to win? It takes audaciousness sometimes. Like, it takes chutzpah. It takes gumption. Sometimes it takes a tinge of madness for you to decide I'm worth it. For you to decide my family is worth it. For you to decide my vision is important enough. For you to decide my dreams are valuable enough that I see it. Even if no one else can right now, I see it. And if I've seen it, it is. Do you see this? See, you've seen it because you've caught a glimpse of what is. Now it's just time for you to audaciously, courageously, and willfully and intentionally manifest everything you've envisioned. I'm just here to tell you, I'm intentionally inciting a revolution, and everybody doesn't think like me. I don't care how. Listen, people use God as a marketing tool now. That's not me. I'm a holy man of God. I don't live for any compromise. What I'm telling you is I'm not selling myself. I'm presenting myself. And for any one of you that is ready, you need to get at me. I saw somebody that I've known remotely. They just took it upon themselves. A visionary joined me today. Didn't even talk to me. Didn't even say, hey, Rashiid, I'm going to get with you. They went on, pulled the trigger, got themselves in position, and we ready to do some things. Okay. I'm just here to tell you, now is the time. So here's some people I need to shout out. This is a part of my practice now. Okay. I believe that the universe is founded upon abundance. All right. So I'm living by my ethos. See, again, many people, they'll see my example. They still won't do it. They don't understand it because they're really competing in secret. Listen, I'm not. So I want y'all, anyone who's been following Shayla Fuller. Shayla Fuller is an emerging leader. And I'm telling y'all, I've seen her winning on a level. If you've been following her posts, if you've been following her story, you need to do yourself a favor and you need to get at her. You need to contact her and inbox her. Don't put it in her comments. There's some very unscrupulous people out here. No, inbox her, get with her personally so that you can start your own journey. Okay? And I'm just telling you, we're working with some people and helping them get in position so that now the arc is boarding. Some of you have seen it. You're starting to see the posts show up. We've not even been involved on 3 weeks yet. And I'm just telling you, you need to get yourself in position so that the storm doesn't overtake you. Okay? So you got to ask yourself, where do you want to be going into 2021, noticing there's not a storm coming. The storm is already upon us. I'm just grateful that me and some people with vision, some people who understand, you know what, it's time to consider some things I never ever would have before. All I can tell you is I have a very clear vision and I have the strategies to put people in positions to experience a sense of thriving that many people might not have ever known. So the time is now. Let's do this. All right. So if you're ready, if you're not ready, you can get ready. But again, you're going to have to go all in on you. All right. So don't let this storm take you out. Don't let all of the gloominess and the heaviness of the impact of COVID destroy your hopes, make you feel like it's not worth it. I'm here to tell you there are people that can help you get to where you want to go. All right. You deserve your absolute and best life. So until next time, this is your friend, Rashiid K. Coleman, the Enlightened Entrepreneur, signing off. I want to tell you I love you. God bless. And always remember this. Keep it regal.